Well, my daughter at the minute is just in the meeting, so I'll let her know and we can get some sent over, which she's got all these different colors. So we're finally here. I'm so excited. I can't even begin to tell you how the day has been. I shared some of it with you, but in terms of the content, I was just up and down and trying to put it like a jigsaw, but I completed it probably when I sent you that message, I guess, but I was still adding to it. But hey, it's good. I like it. I'm sure you both will enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to hearing yours. So as we wait for the platform to warm up, I hope my internet doesn't play about because it gets really hot. So yes, we have a visitor. We have a visitor. So has everyone got their beverages beside them? Have you been to the bathroom?
Of course, I'm just finishing up this.
Okay.
Which I don't like to do on camera. Whew.
I have like this very irritating cough. That's why I have water, and I've also got some coconut water here. So
yeah, I got my water with lemon. I'm just like, I'm ready.
Good, good. And what happens sometimes is that this room, because I'm facing like where the sun comes in, it gets really hot and the air gets like dry. So it kind of triggers off my cough. So I will dip in and out of mute just so as not to sound over the platform.
It's totally fine. Trust me. Like I told Zora this morning, I'm like, I'm saving my voice. I'm having ginger tea.
Oh wow!
I had ginger tea the entire morning because it was like, when you speak so much, you just don't realize how much you use these vocal cords.
My friend, she's always telling me about this ginger, and I'm always saying, yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. Actually, I got these ginger sweets, but they're pure ginger and they are strong. And they just
yeah, well, that was like my tea. It was like more ginger than it was water.
Oh God, no! See, that will set me off. That definitely will set me off.
I like ginger tea too, but it can't be a lot.
But no, ginger's strong. But I mean, it cleared everything. Even my stomach feels better. I don't know what ginger has in it, but it's like a remedy for everything.
Oh, you know what? Everyone recommends it, so it must be doing something. Okay. Okay. Hey, Pastor Lloyd. Hi, Gemini.
Hi, everyone.
I'm in business. I'm just promoting my daughter's classes. So just
yes, I love that. Oh,
yeah.
Go there, my God. Yeah, man. You know the business, man.
I'm telling you. And both of them, they dyed my hair. So
love it.
This is a new improved.
Yeah, man. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we're just waiting for the platform to warm up as we do. And we have our guest here. On my side, on my left, we have Jeffrey. And on my right, we have Zora. These are the family. So yes, we're just waiting for the platform to warm up. And then we will get started. I'm sure people are just running in from the shopping centers and their cars because they don't want to miss this.
No, they don't want to miss this, but this is why we're also we'll make sure that they get to this information.
Yes, we will. But I always say that even though it's being recorded, I'll mute Alberto. I'll mute him.
Okay.
Doing it.
Yes.
You're trying to unmute.
He's trying to. Alberto, you need to be muted because I can hear your TV. But it's fine.
I'm trying to unmute him. Alberto, stop touching it. Let me try and unmute you. What is? Okay.
Okay.
Unmuted. Probably locked his system, his end. Unmute all. All participants unmuted. R1. Okay. That's all right. You're unmute. Mute. Mute. Unmute. Okay. Everyone's back in the room, yeah?
Everyone's in the room.
Okay. Great stuff. So today, I'm so sorry for that. No worries, Alberto. It happens all the time.
Yes.
Happens all the time. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with Zoom. So I don't need to do much of the housekeeping rules per se. So yeah, I know people are coming. I've just got some WhatsApps. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, okay. Someone said, am I copying their hairstyle? No, I am not, Wendy. Blame it on my daughters. I had no idea. I want my curls, but they said try something new. So my curls will be back in the next 2 hours because when I start sweating, then my hair's naturally curly anyway. So the curls will start bouncing back. So if I'm under pressure tonight, then you're gonna see steam coming out my hair.
Well, honey, you just need to go bald like me. When it falls off, then
I'm not as brazen as that, Jeffrey. I can't. My daughter wanted to go lower. I mean, once this is back to the curls, they've taken off enough off of it. I regret buying them that shaver. Because they wanted to go lower.
Summertime, I'm like, I have really curly hair, or when I had hair, before it started falling off.
Would you let it grow back?
Well, there's two parking garages right here. So there is no hair here. So I won't grow this. I won't look like Michael Bolton. I'm sorry. I'm like, to have hair on the sides and no, I'm not going ever.
I can't imagine you with hair.
I'm like, I mean, if it fell off, welcome it with a blessing and I just took it all off.
How long has it been bald?
I started going bald when I was 21. I used to have it down to here, a long ponytail down to here, curly ponytail. And then it's just, I don't know if, my mom says it was because I was pulling it back. It's hereditary. It's not because I was pulling it back.
And wear lots of hats.
What?
Did you wear lots of hats?
No, I used to always have it out. Oh, trust me, I would get it blow dried. I liked it. You know what I mean? Like when I got it blow dried and things like that. But it was just like, I don't know, because I'm a man of color, so I would do like a just for me perm. I'm a man, and I did it just for me. You know, I would do it just to loosen up the curls, and then. But I think this is hereditary because on my mom's side of the family, they all have it, so it was just bound to happen. And when I saw those two spots, I was just like, okay, forget about it. I'm a guy. I took a razor to it, and it was done.
Maybe because of the length of your hair, the weight was pulling it as well.
Yeah. It was a variety of things, and I was just like, I'm okay with it. Now I'm really happy not having hair. And now if I want to get hair, I just go to the salon and have them put something on.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, you know what? I'm going to start. Is it Alberto? You said you wanted to know the topic.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. It is HIV plus control of my narrative. So the play on words is I have control of my narrative. Yes?
Okay. In what way? I mean.
Sorry?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Well, if you hang around, you'll find out, sir.
Yeah, I will.
All right, then. All right, so I'm just going to mute everybody for the benefit so there's no feedback. Yeah? Okay, cool. Or you can mute yourself from here.
Going to get a drink.
Okay. So, Good evening from wherever in the world you are joining us today. You could be anywhere, but you chose to spend this hour with us. I welcome all of you and those who are first timers, thanking you for being here, whether it was an invite or you've been lucky enough to watch previous recordings and want to be a part of this great conversation. It doesn't matter, you are joining us and that is supporting what we do, what I do, and I thank you. All right, so the topic, as I stated earlier, HIV positive, control of my narrative. So today you will be in receipt of an unfiltered, unedited, and raw, if you like, invitation into the taboo world that no one likes to talk about for many reasons, be it naivety, Christianity, uneducated, or your upbringing, to name a few. Okay, the platform's warming up.
It's really warming up.
It is. They all want to see you guys, I'm telling you. So, learning that you have and are HIV positive can be one of the most difficult experiences you may have to go through in life. There are a lot of misconceptions what it means to be living with HIV. Ultimately, everyone's lives are different, because how you cope with your diagnosis and how you move forward will be unique. Today, we are going to hear and see this very world through the eyes and lives of my two special guests. So on my platform, just wave Jeffrey, just wave Zora. Okay, but before I introduce them, let's get the housekeeping rules out the way. I can hear background noise, so if you could just mute yourself from your end, thank you. So, though we approach each platform with the utmost level of respect for our viewers, for this we are mindful that there may be topics discussed that are sensitive and personal to you. However, we welcome your opinions and would appreciate if you could refrain from any hostile comments as we endeavor to maintain a holistic platform to be openly discussed freely and from a place of authentic maturity. If we please you, tell others. And if we do not, then please tell us. Last but not least, I hope you enjoy tonight. So, you've seen my beautiful to my right, Zora, and handsome to my left, Jeffrey. Yes. So, receiving a diagnosis of HIV can be a life-changing event. However, to live with this, plus the discrimination that comes with your sexuality, is a journey being told by my two special guests. Right, I'll say this. Both our guests are from the LGBTQ family and do a lot of campaigning to educate and empower those to help take control of the narrative, which they will be giving you the full range or 411 or down low, whatever. However, one thing for sure is you are going to be educated today, and that's a fact. So I've had a brief meeting with my two guests, and there were things that we wanted to, there were things that I needed educating on before I came on this platform. And I wanted to make sure that, most importantly, the language that I use is acceptable, so as not to offend anybody. So, and another important statement that I wanted to know, which I was educated upon, was HIV and AIDS being two different entities. So I'm going to hand over to Zora Voice, the lovely Zora Voice. I would like her to just explain the difference between the two, first and foremost. But before she does, I just want to give a little intro about this voice, Zora Voice. The Zora Voice is 23 years old and was born with HIV. She did not find out she had it until she was 9 years old. Before knowing about her status, her medicine was always treated as a secret transaction. So I bring to you her story. So Zora, you're going to open this platform and I'll hand over to you. But like I said, I just want you to do give us some education here about the difference between the facts on HIV and AIDS. So let me unmute you, or you can do that your end.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to have this conversation with everybody today. I'm really passionate about this topic. I talk about this on my social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. I'm Zora Voice on all my social media platforms. To answer her question about what the difference between HIV and AIDS is, that AIDS is just a classification, it's not something different than HIV. I think when HIV first was discovered, they did not realize the connection between the two, because HIV is kind of a new disease that came out in the 1970s, 1980s. And over the years, they did a lot of they gain a lot of knowledge on the topic. But to answer the question, is AIDS is a classification, which means a normal person immune system is supposed to have over 300 T cells. It means a person have less than 300 T cells. It means that they have a really weak immune system, and that most likely their immune system will not be able to protect them against illnesses. People do not die from HIV, they die from the health complications they get from it, like they call optimistic infections. It could be anything like pneumonia, or it's these type of diseases that only people with immune systems that are compromised get. If you have a healthy immune system, then you don't get these type of illnesses. So to have AIDS, you have to have a really low T cell count, and you have to have an optimistic infection. So, I have HIV. From what I know of, I never had AIDS. Like me before the age of 9, HIV was always kept as a secret to me. So there could have been a possibility that I could have had an AIDS diagnosis, but that was something that I'm not like aware of myself. I know that to me it seemed like I always had HIV. So to answer the question, it's the same exact thing. It's just about HIV is a person who still have a immune system that's functioning, and it could still protect them against like illnesses. And then AIDS is a person that have a more like weaker immune system that cannot protect them. And the thing is, if the person with AIDS just take the HIV medication, then they can have a healthy immune system just like anybody else, because what the medication do is oppress the HIV, and it makes it not active within our body so that we can't give it to other people. So I'm undetectable, Jeffrey is undetectable, and we can have unprotected sex and not give HIV to our sexual partners. I can get pregnant and have kids and not give HIV to my children.
Excellent.
Do you want to add to that, Jeffrey?
Of course I do. I do want to add to that because Zora mentioned a very important point. She doesn't know if she ever had AIDS. On the other hand, I'm Jeffrey, I'm 43. I live in New York City. Through actions of my own, ignorance, and lack of protection, I was infected with HIV. I was so afraid to have the conversation that we're having like right now, even with my own friends, even with my own sexual partners. I'm gay. Zora is heterosexual. So we're completely different and 20 years apart about. But with me, I was so afraid to go get tested. And I'm going to be I'm going to be extremely honest. I would get gonorrhea or chlamydia. And you know how the burning sensation, I don't know if you're a man, well, men get this burning sensation in their groin when they have an STI. So I would get this STI and they would offer me the HIV test, and I still would say no. I don't know for how many years I did that, but I did it for so long that when I finally decided to get the test, and I'm actually gonna reveal to you why I got the test. Because it was it's kind of shameful to actually even talk about this, but during this, it was the year 2000, I think 10. In January, I had gone for an STI. In February, in March, I mean, every single month I had an STI. And the nurse, who was always there, because I wanted to be the first in line to get my shot and, you know, be on my way. I was so embarrassed that she had told me, I don't want to see you here next week, because you're not supposed to have sex when you have, or like, even when you have gotten the vaccine for an STI. And she was there. So she said, are you going to get the test now? And I feel so ashamed that I've been here so many times. I mean, I haven't been protecting myself, that I finally said, okay, sure, I'll get the test. And at that time, the test was very anonymous. You were not I mean, like, your name was not attached to the test. You got a number, you got a 1-800 number, and you would call that number, and she's like, you don't even need to know your diagnosis. All you need to do is just get tested. I said, fine, I'll do it. I don't ever have to call this yellow card. And I still own the yellow card. I didn't bring it out, but I'll bring it out for next time that we talk. But I still have the yellow card that has my number with the 1-800 number that you call in 2 weeks to find out your diagnosis. So that's the reason why I got tested. When I finally went back for the results, it was right before my sister's wedding. I said, I should probably know. I don't know what it was. I just felt like I wanted to know. But I could not call that phone line. It was just like, I can't get this over the phone. I need to go in. So I went in person. I said, this is my number. And they called me into that little room. I'm sorry. Sometimes when I remember this, it's not that easy.
You wanna?
No, we're good. So they brought me into that room, and like my blood pressure went up. I knew what they were gonna say. They did not only just say that I had HIV, they told me that I had AIDS. So I was like, what am I gonna do now? And then all the questions came in, all those questions that you have. No, I'm good. I'm very good. Don't worry about it. It's just that one moment. That's when I began my education with everything, because it was like, I want to live. So how do I know this is uncurable, but how do I stay alive? I mean, like, my mom cannot bury a child. I can't do that to my mom. So it was just like, I need the information. And that's when I started my recovery. So, and why I'm an activist today, because I let it get so advanced that I had no immune system. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to chime in. I guess I introduced myself as well.
Wow, Jeffrey.
Sorry about the tears.
No, those, you know, I just want to applaud you, because even before you said it, I didn't know how long you would have been able to have continued before the emotions overwhelmed you. Because I actually wrote down, I was going to ask you, had you not, you know, had those tears had not left you, I was going to ask you, I sense your emotions overwhelm you when you are reminded of it. And I could see, as soon as I finished it, you just began to express by the tears. I want to
And now
ask,
they're happy tears.
they are happy tears, as your name, Felice, But there's a question in here from Alberto, and I posed the question myself. You know, why did you, I don't want to say refuse, but why did you not take the test when you were offered the test?
I did not take the, I will explain something, as it is with most LGBT people, especially LGBT people of color.
Mm-hmm.
I came out to my family and I was kicked out of my home.
Okay.
So I believe I moved to New York and I came from a very broken place. I wasn't, you know, I was going to work, paying my bills. I was doing all the things on the, I guess you can say the surface that are good for you, but I was broken inside. So when you're broken inside, how do you, you make choices and decisions from a broken place.
I get it.
So, and I guess to truly answer your question is this one. Because I remember my grandmother, who since forever loved me, and God bless her soul. She always told me that once you know something and you see it, you have to address it and you have to do something about it. So I wasn't ready for the diagnosis, not because I wasn't ready for the news. I kind of suspected it already. I was just not ready for what I had to do, the steps that I needed to do in order to get better. So it wasn't the diagnosis that I was afraid of. I think I was more afraid of the responsibility that I had to do after that. And when you're not ready to take on that responsibility, how are you ready for the diagnosis? If you come from a place like mine that you have to do what's right. You know what I mean? I can't see something, you know what I mean? You can't walk over trash and not pick it up. It's like, it's that kind of thing. It's like you can't just see it and pretend like you didn't see it. Once you know, and then you have to do something about it. So it wasn't the diagnosis as much as it was that I knew I wasn't ready. I was too broken to do something about it.
Thank you for that, Jeffrey. I'm gonna come back to you. So hold that thought, and that's a very powerful testament. And it can't be easy. I'm sitting here, and you know, Lolisa has mentioned, you know, thanks for sharing. Stephanie has said, bless you, and you've just pulled at my heartstrings, sir. You know, I could see my friend Gemini. She I believe those were tears of sadness right there, Gemini. Yeah. So we're feeling these strong on emotions.
Can I are you with your family now?
Oh, it took 15 years, but now Daddy and I can even rub his head like this. So we're good. We're good now. It took a long time to get to me rubbing his head like this. I mean, like when I did that, I mean, that was 2 years ago, and it was just like, okay, now I finally feel complete.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I don't want to open up the platform yet, because I know these questions are going to be flying off the handle, and then I might as well just screw up my content. so we're going to hand over to Zora. Jeffrey, thank you. I'm going to be coming right back to you, sir, so don't go nowhere. Have you got your tissues there?
I got a roll of toilet paper.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, so Zora, we already know or are made aware that yours different to Jeffrey's. Yours came through, you know, you're born with it. Yeah. So I'm gonna hand
wow.
it back over to you and for you to, you know, give us a journey into from the age of 9, because that's a very tender age. You know, I can't remember if I asked you this yesterday, but I know you knew at the age of 9. To me, that's a baby. To me, to be told that you've got HIV at the age of 9, I can't comprehend that, of how you, just tell me about this age of 9 when it all was made clear to you, or how it went. Please.
Okay. So first, I was born in 1997, and in 1997 was the year when they came out with the first cocktail, which was like the most effective HIV treatment. Before that, the HIV medication was like way more toxic, and it took a couple of years until the medication is not as toxic. So now we can take HIV medication that won't cause like harm to our body, like liver problems, kidney problems. But anyways, I found out at the age of 9 because I had to take HIV medication every single day. Every person who have HIV had to take medication every single day. And I guess I got to an age where I was curious about why they had to take medication every single day. And it was getting to a point where my mom couldn't avoid the question anymore. My mom, she never directly had a conversation with me about HIV because I would just assume that she just wasn't really comfortable about having that conversation. So she had my doctors tell me. So I never, when I found out, I was not expecting to hear that I had HIV. Another thing is, since I did not get it through sex, I never really felt the sex shame from it because I didn't get HIV through sex. So when they told me I had HIV, it was more from a perspective of I need to take care of my immune system, because at the end of the day, HIV affects everybody's immune system. So anybody can get it. It's not a disease that you get just because you're having sex. It's a disease you get when just blood-to-blood contact, or sometimes vaginal fluids or semen can cause people to get HIV. Even one thing I do not like about the HIV narrative is that it's focused on the sex part, and I believe they do that to oppress people's sexuality and to shame people for participating in sexual activities that is outside of a monogamous relationship. I am sex positive and I'm non-monogamous, so I do have sex with multiple people of my choice. And I feel like STDs, the way they teach STDs in this culture, they teach it in a way to make you afraid of doing that. Or when you do it, you feel ashamed for doing so. So, for example, people like back in the day, they used to not regulate blood donations. So a lot of people was getting HIV through organ transplants and blood transfusions. But nowadays that doesn't happen because now people with HIV not allowed to donate blood. I'm not sure if that changed over the years, but the last time I checked, we're not allowed to donate organs and blood. Also, people in committed relationships can get HIV too because they often have unprotected sex with their partners. And cheating is a common thing. So people do get HIV through that way too. People get it through rape. People get it through drugs. Sharing needles. People who take hormones, like transgender people, or people who take medication through meters. So I feel like the whole sex narrative just needs to really be put to an end, because what it does, it takes away the voice from people that did not get HIV in that type of way. I was born with HIV, and my whole entire life I had to take on a narrative that had nothing to do with me because I did not have sex yet, you know. So, and where am I going with this? And I always want my issue with HIV was I never felt insecure about having HIV. The issue was always
You're
about
faultless.
what do you say?
Or maybe they just jumped on and didn't know their volume was on.
Oh, okay. So the issue was since the day I found out I had HIV, I was okay with it, but I could just feel a sense in the room that this was something that people were going to judge me on. And it was like to the unknown, like I did not know like how. It was always about, like I was always concerned about how other people would view me because I know HIV is mostly thought of in a negative way and is mostly thought of in a sexual way, which is not true 100% of the time. Well, not, I mean, most of the time. And I just I came to a place in my life where I'm not going to take on narratives that have nothing to do with me. I'm not going to feel insecure about my HIV status just because people tell me I'm supposed to feel insecure about it. And for people to feel like I got HIV through having sex in ways that they feel like is not up to standard with our culture. I believe consensual sex is okay to have whatever type of sexual experiences I want to have. It's okay as long as I'm being honest about my needs and what I want. And also you're taking care of my sexual health, me making sure I'm taking my medication so that I don't give other people HIV. And also I tell my sexual partners to take PrEP so that they can also take responsibility of their sexual health too in regards to HIV, because PrEP is a medication that people who don't have HIV can take. And when they take it, if they happen to have sex with someone who have HIV, or they're just having sex with someone and they don't know their status, then they won't get HIV. Because when it comes to being an HIV positive person, I feel like society tends to put all the responsibility on the person who have HIV. Nobody ever asked me about my HIV status or even my STD status. It's always about me having to volunteer that information. And like that just shouldn't be something that I always have to do, because of course I should do it, but it's like both of us should be doing it. Absolutely. And that's it for right now. I know I said a lot, so swallow that, and then I'll come back and say something else.
Wow, you know, just hearing, I'm going to talk about my naivety, and I'm sure other people on here, I don't even want to assume, let me speak for myself. You know, when AIDS and HIV back in the 80s, and what this topic has forced me to do is go back to the very first video or advert that came out, and I think it was back in 1982 when they spoke about AIDS. And I remember feeling, you know, they used the same pandemic and the drama and the dramatics of this advert that came on the TV screens in London. As, you know, I think I might have been about 14 at the time. And what stuck with me was that, you know, I can't be sleeping with anyone. Well, I'm 14 anyway, so I weren't sleeping with anybody. But it was immediate knowing that I'm having one sexual partner, yeah? However little I got from this AIDS thing, I knew, I made up my mind that I'm having one sexual partner. That's it. Didn't further educate myself or anything other than one sexual partner. So you can see where my priorities were. and later on now, you're starting to hear the disparities on HIV and them being two separate entities. But yet, I'm still not making it my duty to educate myself. I'm just sticking to one partner. That's where it's stuck in my head. Now, I was saying to you guys yesterday that when I was living in Florida, my aunt was a foster mother, and she took babies who were crack babies and HIV positive babies. And I remember that I would ask of these children, and they were no longer with her because they had died. They never had a longevity anyway. So then I kind of got that education and understanding that this is where they're born now with these or with this. Yeah. So, and I was at the time 20 something. So this is 20, from 14 to probably 25. So this is 10 years later. I'm getting to find out about you being born with this, contracting it through birth. Yeah. Which
if I may interject for a second, just from what we know, a mother who is on her antiretrovirals, and let's explain. Antiretrovirals are ARVs, is the the HIV medication. If she takes her medication every single day at the same time and maintains an undetectable viral load, she will not pass the HIV to the child. So I just wanted to just put that in that health note, that yes, this was happening at a certain time in our, I guess you could say, the pandemic's history, where we didn't know that a mother, you know what I mean, like we didn't know exactly the undetectable level. And that's why it's so important that where it was your first question, which was the AIDS and undetectable level or HIV level, that line is a very important line, because that is the difference between a mother passing it on to a child or not passing it on to a child. And I just think it's just an important medical note to just put in there. Sorry, you can continue.
No, no, this is what we're about. I don't want to assume anything. That's why we're here to learn. And I thank you for, clearing that up. And, I don't think an hour is long enough for us to really, because it's so relevant what we're discussing here, because when you spoke about, or when Gemini asked you about where you were with your family, it's that keeping your status. Well, you guys call it status, don't you? Okay.
American, that we're in American status.
Yeah. So keeping your status a secret. So I told you that I was going to try and break it up into 3 areas. So this is about the whole acceptance thing. And when I was doing my research, I came across where they talk about social support. And for those who want to know more, it enhances the quality, or it should enhance the quality of life, and provide a buffer when family and society threatens one's image. Yeah. So where Jeffrey was saying earlier on that he didn't have nobody, you came from brokenness, and you was alone in this big world with this new way of living and nowhere to turn to. And you say you mentioned that in your journey, Jeffrey, when you was first diagnosed, you made mention that you felt a little less than the world, which has led to years of allowing people to mistreat you because of your status. And then you also say it has taken 10 years to recognize how you deserve to be treated, regardless of your status or status. And today you are not afraid to have that uncomfortable conversation where you tell people how you deserve to be treated. So I'm curious to know, like, okay, we've looked at, as long as you take your medication, and I get that, but the coping strategies and the psychological adjustments. Yeah. Let me just mute this person. So I say that again. Let me just wet my whistle.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna get one too.
Okay. So we spoke about the social support that we're going to go into a bit more. No, before I jump to the next one, Zora, when you say that you found out about 9 and you approached your parents or your mother or whoever your carer was at the time, how did you approach them and what was their response? You're muted. Hold up.
Sorry, on mute.
What do you mean by how did I approach them?
So you said that you kept asking why do you have to take this medication?
Oh, okay. Well, they just looked, they didn't say anything. They just acted didn't hear what I was saying. So my mom was the one who gave me medication, and it was some liquid medication. And if you was a kid with HIV, you knew how nasty this liquid HIV medication was.
Wow.
So you was gonna question it. So yeah, my mom just had this phase that like I internalized as like forever. You know, it's just a phase you probably never really like experienced unless like you were asking a question like that. So I guess eventually one day my mom took me to, because I have HIV, so I always went to the hospital because it's part of the HIV routine, not because anything wrong with going with me. It's a part of the treatment to go get tested for your HIV every like 3 to 4 months to make sure your immune system is doing good, making sure you're taking your medication. So like during one of those visits, my mom had the doctor tell me. And then after that, my mom made sure I had the support I needed by putting me in like HIV counseling. She made sure I had, I went to see like an HIV educator that would teach me about HIV. And it was mostly centered around my immune system health. So as a child, HIV was not really emphasized a lot to me as something sexual, even though I knew they just kind of voice it in a way that in the future you need, when you do start to have sex, you need to, you know, tell your partners and stuff like that. But I think it's a really different experience for people who was not born with HIV and they got it through sex, because they kind of believing that sex narrative that come with HIV, that, oh, I got this because I was being irresponsible sexually. And in reality, is, I mean, yeah, they did kind of get it in that way, but it's not. A lot of people think HIV is like a punishment due to like your sexual actions, and it's not, because like I said, people get HIV through many other type of ways.
Yeah.
And when it comes to community and support system, my family was not really my support system. Not in a negative way, it's just something that was not talked about in my household. And my mom wanted me to have those type of conversation with people who was educated and people who was living the same experiences as me. So like at the age 12, I was in a HIV community, a HIV group for children around my age, so like teenagers and kids who had HIV. And I think we used to meet like once a week and just make friends to help like normalize having HIV, to help me not feel alone in my situation. And I feel like that really did help me in, like me not feeling alone and just normalizing it for me. But I always knew once I started having sex, I was going to have to deal with other people's perspectives on HIV. And I know a lot of people think people with HIV have a difficult time finding sexual partners. And from my own experience, I never had that. I never had difficulties finding sexual partners. I think what I realized is I think a lot of people, they're just afraid because they're just uneducated and they just don't want to be taken advantage of. So if I just talk to them about it and be honest about it, then they feel more comfortable having sex with me. At the same time, I do want to say that I don't know what people think in their head, right? So I can only go by off of what they say to me. And what they say to me is that, you know, they either feel like they're not educated about it enough, or they just feel, or they, most of the time, guys don't have an issue having sex with me if I want to have sex with them. I usually have protected sex. I don't have unprotected sex unless it was someone I trust. And I mean, that's just up to my own decision what I want to do with that.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Of course, that's right, Jeffrey. Of course it is. I mean,
Can
you
I
volunteered that.
Diana, I'm sorry guys, how are you? My name is
Hi,
Kevin
Kevin.
Williams. I showed up late. I apologize about that. I was running in the hot sun trying to get here in time, and I'm still trying to cool off. But
Bless you.
but thank you. Jeffrey invited me, and thank you so much, Jeffrey, for this. I appreciate this. Jeffrey and I have known each other for a couple of years, and we've gone through some crap together. Anyway, so but you know, I think that the overall problem is that when you, and I've been dealing with HIV for back in the 80s when it was out there, and it was so prevalent in our faces. And as you said also, Diana, it was basically a shun disease, that you are disgusting, that you are horrible, that you are you're walking around with these horrible things, and you're promiscuous, and you're and pedophile, and this it came with so many different descriptions about who you were just because you had this particular disease. And I think the problem, and if we want to go back to how we can hopefully solve the problem in some type of way, the majority of HIV cases are Black men, Black gay men, Black men that are on a DL. And the problem is that the reason, you know, if they can't be comfortable in just being gay and going to get themselves tested and finding out because because their family is not accepting them, as what happened with Jeffrey. And when you got these particular blockages in the roads to figure out who you are, how do I feel comfortable about me, my family doesn't accept me, my community doesn't accept me, so we go out and we end up being extremely promiscuous, and we're looking for that love, we're looking for that family nucleus to hold on to. As people, we just need something and someone to hold on to make it ours, and we go out finding it, and by finding it, unfortunately, these are the ways that goes about it. And you know, when you've got this particular disease that's going around, and you've got gay men Black gay men that can't even disclose who they are, how do they go get tested? How do they feel comfortable about going inside a clinic and asking for an HIV test? Because unfortunately, it's considered to be, if you've got HIV or AIDS, you're gay, you know, or you're promiscuous. And if I'm on the DL, then I'm not going into a clinic and getting that test. No. So what happens, I stay on the DL and I pass it on to other people. And if I'm on a DL, that means I'm messing with women and I'm messing with men. And it's just passing on. So I think the comfortability needs to come from the focus of allowing you to be who you are without the connotations of you're a pedophile, you're disgusting, you're AIDS carrier, and that comes from just the gay society. And granted, we've come a long way in the last 20 years, but nowhere near of comfortability. You know, I've got 2 kids. I'm a gay Black man. I got 2 kids, and my son used to always ask me, you know, Dad, why did you tell me that you were gay? And I said, I wanted you to have a positive outlook on gay Black men, not what you always see on the TV, not what you see, you know, and nothing against RuPaul and Drag Race, but that's what they show on TV constantly. If you think about a gay man, you think about bows and heels and wigs and carrying on. But we've got doctors, we've got lawyers, we've got, you know, senators, we've got so many different things, so many people out there that have that. So I think we have to, and as Zora said earlier, we have to. Yeah, go ahead, go Jeff, go.
No, if I may, I just want to interject because the reason why Zora and I actually got together, and the reason why I really like doing this with her, is because I am the stereotype of who an HIV person would be considered as: someone who was promiscuous, who is of color, who is gay or homosexual man. I'm living in New York. I mean, you can basically say I'm the Philadelphia story right there. But the reason why I like our conversation is because she is the complete opposite. She did not have it through sex. So I believe in going back to your question about this is how we begin to educate people, by having two people from two different worlds show their story that are very uniquely different.
Yeah, unique.
Like, I mean, like I could tell you, I can be a healthcare professional telling you right now, no, you can get it through intravenously, you can get it through a blood transfusion till I'm blue in the face. And we did that in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s, and no one has gotten it. It gets to like doing this, bringing elements of two different worlds together. And showing that that HIV is not a gay disease, a woman disease. It is not an addiction disease. It is a human issue, and it belongs to all of us. It doesn't discriminate against anyone. It's like COVID. So
and it's funny because I wanted to say that.
Yeah. It's not a respecter of people. And this is why you guys have to take these opportunities, do these awareness talks, campaign for it, because Zora didn't ask for it.
Right.
She didn't ask for it. And I'm going to hold my hand up, because I did think that when people declared having HIV and AIDS, that they were gay. They were just, it was only for gay people, because that was where the uneducation and miseducation was for me. So it's so important. And, you know, again, we spoke about this yesterday. There was 3 generations of us on the platform with total different knowledge of this illness or this diagnosis. Can I call it an illness? Is it an illness? Is it a condition? What is it?
I think it's called a pandemic. It's still called a pandemic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Let me think about it. Think about it back to me.
I'm no scientist.
Yeah, but think about it. Back in the 80s, the end of the 80s, if I'm correct on the number, it was 144 million people that died of AIDS. And because it was coming out from a gay stance, people took it and ran with it. Because they feel like, oh, I'm not gay, I'm not getting it. And it's not about that, as you said earlier, Diana. It's not about, it has nothing to do with that. But unfortunately, that's how it started. The same way the COVID started, and all of a sudden we want to blame the Koreans. Oh, because it's so easy to point the finger rather than looking in the mirror. You know, it makes you feel better about yourself to point the finger at someone else. Oh, this is your fault. Or you started this, or you did this to us. You know, rather than take the responsibility, not to do the pointing, but how do we find a solution?
And you know what, Kevin? I wouldn't even entertain anyone who was HIV or hate or gay or what do you call it? AIDS.
Trans, gay.
Because you think it's going to jump on you. Because that's how they said, well, the knowledge that I came across was that AIDS came from a monkey and it jumped from a monkey to a human. So therefore,
and that's with Diana, but that was that big problem because it said came from a monkey, so now it came from black people.
Yeah.
And then it jumped over to the gays, and also the gay black generation came. So it was so bad. Yeah.
And we're gonna. I don't want to let this COVID-19 take over, because it's already taken up too much of our life. But this, when we spoke about it, you know, when we spoke about this yesterday, my antennas went up, and I said to Jeffrey and Zora, but this is just like COVID. This is just the same thing. And then Jeffrey went to explain, yes, it attacks respiratory or weak immune systems, and people don't die from COVID, as we know. They die from an pneumonia.
What it turns into, right? What it turns into.
And then now with the HIV, it's the same principle. It's the same thing. It's your body's being attacked because it's not got the treatment to sustain it. So you know, it's so big, and I'm so honestly, I just to be here being educated like this, not that I love people, I don't care, I love people, and due to no fault of my own, and I take ownership, if you are uneducated about something, you will stay away from it so as to not make yourself look a fool. Yeah.
Right.
And that was my whole precept of why I couldn't really say much or do much about what I didn't know. So the best thing for me was to have one man, stay away from everybody else. Yeah.
We take on attitudes that if it doesn't affect me, it has nothing to do with me.
Yes.
Which is
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
As I used to say for the COVID, you know, because it came from the whole, I mean, sorry, the COVID, when the whole thing Black Lives Matter came around, and you know, all the killings, and I have a lot of white friends, and I used to tell them, I said, you know what, I understand that you may not understand this, or you may not are not involved in this as much, but as your Black friend, don't wait until it hits your front door before all of a sudden you want to find out all more about this. You know, and that's what we normally do. We normally wait until it hits our front door before until last minute. Now all of a sudden it's your daughter, it's your son, it's your grandfather, it's someone that you know that has been beaten and or killed. And the same thing with HIV. Don't wait until it's in your front door, until your husband or your child has it, and then all of a sudden now you want to be an advocate. Now you want to sit there and have the picket signs and so on and so forth. We got to start it before that happens, so we all can be involved in this and take care of this.
So this is a million.
You know that this is like HIV is global, and I mean, whether or not the person has disclosed to you that they're HIV positive, every single person on the planet, and there is I wish I could find that study, has a hairdresser, so a makeup artist, somebody of service that they interact with on a daily basis who is HIV positive, and they don't know it. It could be your cousin, it could be your sister, it could be the girl who does your hair, somebody has somebody that has HIV. And just because
Can I just ask Jeffrey, this is the next question, because how do you know you have it? What? Are there?
You don't know till you get tested.
You don't know, yeah.
You get tested.
and it should.
Unless you gotta die, like you have AIDS and you have like advanced pneumonia, and it's like too late. That's how you know.
Wow.
It should be the same way the COVID thing. Like, you know, if in the event that you're having, like, you know, like Zara said, you know, she has protected sex and whatever she feels that's going to be important to her to have this next intimate relationship with someone, then yeah, it's both sides' fault or responsibility to do this. I'm not going to have sex with Zora and blame her for something that she might have given me without me having to ask her, well, guess what, Zora, what's going on with you? And we do that so freely, so easily. We'll just go to bed. And that's what, like, I have a huge problem that about, and I'm in the medical field, I do counseling, I'm a psychoanalyst, but I get so annoyed about 10 years ago when they were all talking in the clinics that we're going to let everyone know that undetectable means not passable. Because we knew about this about 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. But we didn't want to say anything. And I got really upset. I'm like, no, we should not bring this out. I said, because not that we have a handle on it right now, but for the community, and yes, the gay community is promiscuous. Let's not discuss it. Let's not beat around it, you know? But you think about it, if Zora, if you're walking down the street and you see a handsome guy and you give each other a look and like, wow, well, okay, fine. Where do you live? I live over here, let's go. And was going. And that's unfortunately how this is ran. But the problem is that when we knew about this was undetectable, you know, almost 20 years ago, and it was not passable, we didn't say anything to the community. We didn't say anything to our patients because we didn't want them to assume that, okay, I'm undetectable, I can go out and be promiscuous again, and I can go around and do everything else. And the problem with that, hold on, Jeff. And the problem with that is that we don't say anything because, and I'll be really honest with you, we don't say anything because adults, regardless from 18 to 80, we're not responsible enough. Let's keep it real. We're just not. And when it comes to certain situations of this nature, our loins are dragging us to the next person if we're not in a committed relationship. So when you are taking this knowledge that now it's undetectable, unpassable, that means as long as I'm on medication, I can go and have sex with everybody. But I don't know if you are on the regimen that you're supposed to be. I don't know if you're going to the doctors every 3 months. I'm not sure if you're taking your medication every day. So because this month you're okay, next month you may not be taking your medication, but you still assume that you're undetectable. And now we go to bed and guess what? You pass it on to me. So I've never felt that it was need to be told to the public. I always feel like the public needs to know up to a certain point. And we're not responsible. The same way you think about the COVID. Everyone, we're slowly getting back into the groove, but while we're still out in major, huge groups with no masks on, we're not responsible enough to take care of these things. So we need to be scared a little bit. If we're scared a little bit, we'll take the precautions that need to be done. You know, I don't believe that the COVID is going to kill you. It's what it turns into. But if we need to scare the public to say, you've got to wear a mask, you've got to do this, then maybe it will continue on to keep it safe for everyone. But the minute you give us the opportunity to do it on our own cognates, we unfortunately fail that test.
But the first, what I want to just say, I totally agree with what you're saying. The reason why the public has to be a little bit scared and skeptical is because we got to understand that the medical field, even though they knew 20 years ago that if you took your medication, because and we had PEP 20 years ago because that's what they gave police officers and medical professionals who had like a squirt in their eyes of like blood squirting in their eyes or got a cut. It's the same medication. It's because the medical industry is run by insurance. Unless you have someone like Dr. Fauci who's willing to go on record and stake his reputation and say, undetectable is untransmittable, because we don't have enough of those people who are willing to stick their necks out, because then here comes the lawsuits. So you get what I mean? Like we've controlled and government and the insurance companies are all together and lawsuits are involved. And this is the reason why they take these precautions. Nobody wants to come in. They're like, oh no, we need 10 years of research. We didn't need 10 years of research, you know, or 20 years of research. But this is the reason why. And this is why the population has to use their discernment and gather information from all the medical professionals. Don't listen just to government. Yes, government can give you regulations, but listen to the medical experts who are dealing with the actual pandemic, with the actual virus. They're working with this thing in a petri dish, and they're, you know, pouring blood in and out of these little squirt things. I don't know what you call them. I don't know if you guys took chemistry, but I mean, I passed chemistry class, but I don't know what you call all those things. But you know, all those things that you put in and you look under a microscope, these are the people that are doing this. And they know the actual pandemic or the actual virus from the inside out. This is why they know that the medication works, because it protects the cells. It does not protect, it doesn't, one thing that I wanted to say, this is on a very medical note, because it's very important. The ARVs that you are taking and the PrEP do not, in the history of man, we've never been able to kill a virus. We've never been, so it does not kill the virus. What it does is this, and I'm gonna do it in like little, like I explained it to my nieces and my nephews. The HIV pill is like a force shield around your cell. The HIV tries to attack it, but since it can't penetrate because you have your force shield and it only protects you for 24 hours, then it dies on its own, because it needs to invade a cell to mutate it and to replicate, because it can't replicate on its own. And I think people need to understand the difference. The virus needs the cell in order to replicate. And this is where those numbers, those T cell numbers come into play, because if you're not taking your medication, you don't have your force shield, you're not protected like Superman, and bullets can come right.
Right.
That's what it is. And this is how I explain it. My nieces and my nephews, they all know I have HIV, and I talk to them just like this. They're like 9 and 10. You know what I mean? I talk, this is what it is, and I want you to protect yourself. PEP and PrEP do exactly the same thing. They protect the cell so that the HIV cannot come in, because the virus will die on its own if it has no place to replicate, to multiply.
Also, let me say something else. So,
I'm sorry. That's why I really need to interject.
It's actually, yeah, it's actually 14 days after you take the medication. If you're on your medication regularly, and you say, for instance, God forbid, you're away, you're on vacation, whatever, and you run out, you've got up to about 14 days before it starts to wear down. So you're pretty much protected for about a good 14 days before it even starts to wear down. And I'll say this, and hopefully I don't get in trouble again, because I got in trouble before. In the medical field, I found out about the COVID about, I would say, September of last year. And I was on a phone, I was on a conference phone. I think, Jeff, I don't know if I told you this, I did tell you this, right? You were on the forum. Yeah, and I was on a forum, I was on a phone call that I was supposed to get through an email, but I wasn't supposed to be on that phone call. They mixed my number up with someone else, which was Kevin Williams. And I got on the phone call, there was 27 doctors and pharmaceutical companies on the phone. And I listened to the phone, and they, you know, they say your name, they say you have to identify yourself and who are you and so on and so forth.
Kevin, can I just pause you there? If
sure.
This information is what can I say? We're not privy to it.
No, you're not privy to it.
Yeah, I know, because I heard you say.
I don't know if we can.
Oh, you heard about this too, huh? Did you hear about this?
Because of professionalism and legislation, I would prefer.
I got you.
Yeah, just for the benefit of the fact that
I got you.
this is a big brother.
I will say this, and then I will say this way. I can only say this much. That is it interesting how in the last, I don't know, 9 decades, no one has found a cure for anything, but they're able to keep us alive. So it makes you tend to wonder, like, wow, it's amazing how they can find a point of keeping you alive to still take the medication to keep you here. So the pharmaceutical companies can still work, but they can't find a cure.
It's a business. It's a
business, and it's sad. It's a sad business. It's
lucrative, and anyone that claims that they found a cure gets executed. So the least leave it there.
Yeah. So it's sad that you don't. I mean, you may find doctors that are willing to come out, and at the same token, I hope it don't sound hard. Not that I don't blame them, but I don't. Because all these years I've worked to do this point in my life, to get to this point in my life, and I found out information that may help society. But am I willing to take on all that's going to come after I open my mouth? So I can't blame people that know about these things. I really can't, because it's your children, it's your life, it's being scrutinized and so much, and it's so hard. So when I find people that like Jeffrey said, when you find doctors that are willing to, I have to bow down to them, because I have no clue what you're going through once you divulge those secrets that you know. You know, what kind of business are you going to have if you have a business after that?
Some people have this, they will wear their heart on their sleeves and die for the cause, yeah? And they're committed to the cause to the very end, like a captain on a ship. When that ship goes down, the captain goes with it. And there are those people that are out there, few and far between, but they're there.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to take in. And
sorry about that, guys. I'm so sorry.
No.
I came on with everybody's mind.
You know what it is? That's the problem that the world faces right now is how much of the information are you going to be willing to receive before it gets too much? Yeah? That's the only issue that individuals have with wanting to better themselves, is how much information they are willing to allow themselves to be sorry, Jem?
Exposed to.
Yeah. So
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Exposed to. Because even right now with this whole COVID, there was a time that we all had to turn off the TV because it was just too much information.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to have that discernment. Okay, when to tune off and when to tune out. To answer your question, because I believe this was a question you had probably for us, me and Zora. I believe that we individuals who are HIV positive, who are willing and comfortable with talking publicly, should choose an area and focus on that area and focus on that demographic.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to reach everybody. I know that. And I can't talk about the Fauci and all of that good stuff. You can see I don't even know the name of all those squirt things. I can't talk that way. So I know that's not the people that I should be addressing. But the way to tackle, because it is too much information, is talk to like I talk to my nieces and nephews. That's just 2 kids.
But someone
who are going to be very well informed about it, and are probably going to make a better choice than I made.
Yeah.
And I'm very transparent about that. So I believe that that's kind of like how we have to tackle this, because if you try to tackle the big enchilada, it's just a big bite.
You will drown in too much information, and people have got very low concentration spans, so there's only so little they're going to take away from and maybe miss out the most important parts of the discussion. So you have to differentiate the content, how you're going to teach it, so that people leave wherever it is it's being taught having had the most amazing, they've been engaged. More importantly, they've been engaged. You haven't lost their attention to keep them engaged. So I just want to move on because I'm mindful of the time, and I always like to add scriptures into my platforms. Yes. And for all of what we've covered, I normally give 1 scripture, but I have 3 today. And the reason why I've chosen these 3 today, because of I think it's such a controversial subject, because we're not dealing with just HIV and AIDS, we're dealing with the sexuality of the 2 and so I want this also to be recognized when I speak about we are one. Yeah, we are one. And when I opened up, I chose to mention this where people it's a taboo subject because of naivety or Christianity or uneducation or just upbringing, to name a few. Yeah. So I'm going to delve into these scriptures. You don't have to have your Bible with you, but I'm going to use them. You can take note because they're poignant to what we're discussing on all levels. So the first one is about looking at the virus and what we know in the favorite scripture, Psalms 91. And I'm going to focus on this particular one because when you both, especially Jeffrey, because you became overwhelmed by this and you spoke about not wanting to be treated because of the whole change of your lifestyle and everything that came with it. Yeah, that was what the problem was with you. So I want to say this in this scripture. It says, I'll rescue you, then throw you a party. I'll give you a long life. This is the Message version to Psalms 91, 14 to 16. I'll rescue you, then throw you a party. I'll give you a long life and give you a long drink of salvation. Now, 10 years ago, you were diagnosed and Zora from birth. And you're still here, which is, where's Kevin? Kevin said,
I'm here.
You understand me? He made it very clear that at no time at all has anybody ever said that they've found a cure for these viruses. So in the biblical terms and in kingdom terms, we talk about diseases as being pestilence, yeah, and weapons, yeah. And these are all weapons that have been formed against you, yeah, but none of them have prospered. So whether it is the HIV, the AIDS, whether it's a bullet from a gun, whether it's the rejection of family, because rejection is a weapon, yeah,
Yes.
formed against you. It's just a different terminology, yeah. I can see Alberta, you're homing in on this, yeah. So listen up, yeah. So you have been thrown a party because of your attitude, yeah. You chose that, you know what? This is who I am. This is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. So you're celebrating your life, your diagnosis, your rejection of the world, and you're changing the narrative. Yes, you got into whatever, and I say this to Jeffrey, I'm not sure what Kevin's background is as to how, or if you do have AIDS, I don't know. But the point I'm making is that living with HIV does not have to stop you from living a long, happy, and fulfilling life, as we've just heard. Yeah? Because 23-year-old Zora speaks with such a, you sing a song when you speak about your journey. Do you understand me? And for someone who, I believe I don't have it, I'm sure that the fear of not knowing, or what I know because I've been tested, but the point I'm making is, I don't know if I would be, well, this is all in hindsight, if I'm being honest, but you speak so strong in your stance, your narrative is going to conquer those who need to hear a young lady of your age speak about what it is that you speak upon in how you came to have been diagnosed, and people need to hear your story. Jeffrey, those tears are a language, my dear. Rejection comes to us in all ways. You understand me? You were rejected for a reason, so you could be here today. Do you understand me? Because maybe if you had been all loved up, you would have been so, you might have had a horrible character. And I love your character. I love your character, and the world loves your character. So when I speak on this scripture, I want you to embrace it, because the world is loving on you. Do you understand me? That's why you're here today. Even in your fear 10 years ago, you're still here. You know, fighting the good fight of faith, wanting to change lives, transform lives, show people that, listen, mate, whatever you've been told, it don't go like that. Yeah? So that was the first scripture. The second scripture is 1 Corinthians 12:27, right? This one is very, again, you are Christ's body. So when he comes back, he's not coming back for the building. He's coming back for this. So you are the church. Yeah? You are the temple. And the fact that you've chosen to take care of this temple is what's important right now. And you can identify what will happen when you don't take care of the temple, of your building, because you have to live in it. So when you sit down, you know what's going on behind this flesh, yeah, mechanically and on the health side of things. So 1 Corinthians 12:27, you are Christ's body, that's who you are. You must never forget this. Only as you accept which you have, your part of that body, does your part mean anything. And your narrative is anything we're talking about. Because you're making, you're controlling it, you're taking ownership of it, and you're being vocal in wanting others to get the right information. Yeah? And people, you can talk it's like trying to say to a non-believer that why they must believe in the full Godhead. The only way you're going to get someone to believe you is prove it to them. You understand me? And you both are living proof. All right? Okay. So you're familiar with some of the parts that God has formed in his church, which is in your body, because you are the church. So you're familiar now with HIV and AIDS. You know what you got to do about it, don't you? Zora, don't you?
Yeah.
All right now. So you are what they call the apostles and the prophets and the teachers and the miracle workers
Lovely.
and the healers and the helpers and the organizers. You're all of these. You make up that body. You're doing it. You understand me? You as well, Kevin. Alberto, I don't know what you do, but I see you nodding your head. The fact that you're here today, and whoever's here today, we want to do something about it, starting with self. So we're getting educated. You found yourself on this platform because you knew there was something about this topic that you needed to educate yourself on. Yeah? You can either agree or disagree, but you ain't here because I'm so beautiful, or Jeffrey's so handsome, or Zora so. Yeah, although we are, but you know,
There we go. There we go.
There's more to it than that. So recognizing we are one, you are the church. That's why you want to go and make a change in the world. And the last one, which is I just find so beautiful, it's 1 Corinthians 3:11. And I said this to you. When I was a child, and I say when I was a child, in metaphorically, I mean when I was ignorant to HIV and AIDS. I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I fought as a child. But when I became of age, when I became knowledgeable, I put away childish things. So that means my attitude and my mentality changed. Yeah? Because I became more skilled, informed, and educated a bit more. Not a lot, but a bit more. I knew nothing of this, or not enough to defend anything today. I have been educated by knowledge. They say our people perish because of lack of knowledge. Today I was a student, and I'm 51. So it's never too late to learn. Yeah, never too late. And I hope you all have heard the poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. He speaks about we wear the mask. And Kevin said that especially in the black men, and I'm talking everybody, especially our black culture, which is, you know, we are so mentally enslaved that it sucks. It really sucks. But you know what? We're here to make a change. Yeah. You know, there's 3 stanzas in the We Wear the Mask poem, and I'm going to jump to the last one. And it says, we smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise, we wear the mask. It'd be good if you don't know it to go and listen to the whole thing. I chose this because that mask represents us when we are not authentic and do not take ownership of self. In the word mask, you will find the word ask. What is life asking from you, or you from it? So on that note, I just want to say I could take this on another hour, but I don't want to lose the essence of what we've been taught today. So I want to stay in that zone of all of what I've learned and will take away and be able to share with others. So I just want to, you know, thank you both, Jeffrey and you, Zora, for sharing your worth at such short notice, may I add. And I know I've been educated today, and I'm hoping that those who came and went were also. And I guess by the comments, there's some comments in here that I want to just read out from Alberto. I would like to thank you for everything that both of you are doing for the HIV community. You are doing amazing jobs, and God will continue to bless you in many ways in your life. Stephanie has said, thank you both, Zara and Jeffrey. You are both such beautiful people. Thank you for sharing. Zora has commented, you're welcome, Stephanie. Janet said, jump into another, oh, sorry, she's jumping to another meeting, sorry. Alberto, thank you for inviting me, and we will do a lot of positive things for our HIV community. You will, Alberto, believe me, you will. You know, you are that time. Sorry, Jem?
Tell him to make sure he comes back next week.
Who?
Alberto.
Oh, Alberto, yeah, well, you know what? I always like to link my platform. So now you know of me. Go and follow me on Instagram as Diana the Millionaire, or there's my Soul to Spirit project. You can follow me on Facebook, Diana Gray Lewis. But what will happen is I'm recording this. So when I send or subscribe to YouTube, Millionaire as in royalty, HEIR, Diana Lewis. When you go to the YouTube, subscribe, there are episodes of recordings that have been covered over the past 5 months or 4 months. Also, my Saturday platform, I have a biblical platform on a Saturday called Giver of Dominion. Very powerful, very powerful.
And before we go, if I may, before we go, I just want to say that I mean, like, you guys know my story, you guys know that part, but I'm really here today because of the support of HIV Stops Me. It's a campaign that runs here in New York City. HIV backgrounds. The name of the website is HIV Stops With Me. And I believe that HIV stops with me, whether you're HIV positive or you're negative. Because if you educate yourself and you're negative, it stops with you. If you're positive, you will not pass it on. So remember, HIVstopswithme.org. There's tons of information on there, any kind of questions. And there's 30 of us, I mean, from transgender, every single walk of life, white, black, I told you it's a human, it's a human thing. So we have almost every single background represented there. So please visit it. You will find me on there as well.
I want to ask you, Jeffrey and Zora, would you accept I haven't got a date, but I'd like for you to come back on the platform later on in the year. Can I ask you in advance?
Yeah, we would love to come
yes,
back.
of course.
Excellent, excellent. Excellent.
What are you
Diana, I have
talking
to.
about? Yes. I'm not to go camp out at
You're
your
so
house.
funny.
I'm going to London once this whole thing happens.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Some tea and crumpets. There we go. We'll have some tea and crumpets with Diana.
Now that the kids are out of the
You
house.
could listen. I told you guys yesterday. Even though we're doing these here, where the Lord is moving me, we're gonna be in a establishment where all of you will be coming to share.
Diana, I in reference to talking about God, I try. Well, I do major, huge events in reference to talking to gay men of color about relationships and about themselves and learning how to be more authentic. And Jeffrey and I have been doing this actually for about almost 2 years. I've been doing it for about 18 years, but Jeffrey and I got together and we started. He has his own podcast and everything else. But I want to say this, in reference to God, I try to tread lightly on it because I don't know everyone's background on religion and so on and so forth. But I always say this, no matter what you believe in, he got you up this morning. And when he got you up this morning, it's the point of what did you do with that day?
Hallelujah.
Because I always tell people, don't ask for a new job and don't ask for new shoes and oh my God, I lost my job and I lost. No. He got you up. If God has blessed you with 2 arms, 2 legs, you're able to read, write, and see and walk, then take that opportunity, take what he's given you and move on with this. So I say in this particular forum that he got me up this morning and I was able to contribute to this particular forum. And I'm blessed by it. And I thank you so much for that. And I will continue on doing this the same. And I want to thank you all for that.
And that is awesome, Kevin. Thank you so much for sharing on that note. And yes, you're right. And I always say, just submit to his will. That's all you have to do. Submit to his will. I want you to leave. Zora, you've got a Zora voice. What's you've got another? What's your other thing that you do?
Okay, so on social media at Zora Voice, I talk about stigma-related topics. One of them is HIV. And if you're interested in like hearing more about, I guess, a HIV person lifestyle, which is a normal person lifestyle, where I talk about like my HIV feels, I really do talk about how like my feelings around it a lot on Instagram. I also have an organization called My Aura, and it's about uplifting people with HIV and their sexuality, because from my own experience, I feel like people with HIV are not, they're not encouraged to embrace their sexuality. And I believe everybody should have the right to embrace their sexuality because it's part of us and make us a human being. We are entitled to that connection with ourselves.
Absolutely. I just want to say, because I went on your platform and there's a quote that I wanted to take from all of the beautiful things that you write. You said, no one lives up to the man-made idea of perfection because we all are individuals and we should normalize our experiences. And that comes with just being truthful to oneself. To thy own self be true.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that quote touched you like that, because it be touching me too.
There you go. This is what we do. We are family.
I will say, I know Zora and I, and also you, we are very vocal and very public. I believe that for those who don't necessarily have the strength to do what we do, this is why we're doing it. Because it's not easy. For years, we've been standing on this platform, found other people to support us. This is why we're speaking, because we will be your voice. For whatever reason, he chose this for me. I'm just gonna go with it. Go with the flow.
Yeah, you know what? He did choose you two because there was supposed. I don't know if you've heard of the '90s group, 3-6 Mafia. Yeah. Well, maybe not you, baby. But anyways, they were supposed to speak today, or a person from there was supposed to speak today. But you know what? When you work with Spirit, he knows what he's doing and why he's doing it and why all of this is written. So we have no, his plans are bigger than ours. Yeah. So I just want to say thank you once again. Stephanie has said, awesome, stay blessed. And from me, from London, all the love going across the Atlantic to you guys. Thank you so much. I see you again. Stay in touch. And
wash your hands.
Yeah. And keep going. Keep up the movement. All right. God bless. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.